sell them or what?
We're just talking because I was giving him shit about that we're not getting him 25 for anything. He's like, I only brought 30 boxes, the best selling one, and he's talking about how Reapout owns it all. And I'm like, yeah, and you know why, right? He's like,
What do you mean, Dr. Seamus?
So what do you think I'm going to find out what I'm going to do for the next year tonight?
I don't know.
I mean, we already know what you're going to do.
We already know about sleepy dragons.
Sleepy dragons, we got that.
Exhausted dragons.
Tired dragons.
Everyone's tired.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, we need to...
I think every dragon should have a baby dragon in it, so it explains
Baby
why
dragon?
the dragons are always
Well,
tired.
there are three types of dragons.
Yeah, okay.
There's the baby dragons.
Yeah,
Then there's the adult dragons.
yeah,
Then there's the ancient dragons.
yeah.
Maybe? I don't know.
Grandma, Grandpa.
We don't get into those sort of discussions in the Keyforge.
Next sect we have sad robots.
Sad robots?
AI's taking over, all robots are now sad.
Aren't all the robots sad?
Maybe, I don't know. Good to see you, sir.
Good seeing you.
Nice though, it's just seems angry.
Wait, we live?
Yeah. Small, 2 people. Just waiting for the man of the hour.
It's over there. We gotta find a chair. I don't want to sit in front of people.
They're actually going to be up there in like 20 seconds.
Later. I got.
Now when we get to throw tomatoes at him,
Yep. I'll dodge them.
I would have bought some tomatoes.
Except AC throws rocks.
That's
my
fun.
job.
It is. For you.
Me.
Not yet.
living riddle, the Archons awaken.
Guys, welcome to Keyforge Celebration number 4. How many have never been to a Keyforge Celebration before? All right, so welcome. Welcome. Okay. All right, so I'm Chris Peterson. I'm the the CEO of Ghost Galaxy, and every year I traipse you up to this little stage to give you guys some news and some insights and some fun anecdotes related to y'all favorite game. All right, so let's talk about the game. Let's talk about what's happened with our game this last year. Let's talk about what's happened. Let's talk about what we did. Let's talk about what we saw. Year in review 2025. So the first thing we did this year, very early in the year, we put out the Keyforge Discovery set. That was a set that was long in the making and was highly requested because it was a set that was a little bit lower in complexity and rules and keywords and all that stuff, and had a card pull that really was intended for introductory play. So if you know somebody out there that really wants to get, eased into Keyforge, Discovery is the perfect place to start. We also tried to look a little bit at the sealed environment, and Michael particularly worked hard to come up with and Luke came up with a set that really was very focused on sealed play. That was Crucible Clash. And then, of course, the highlight of this year's releases was our Prophetic Vision set, which came out in roughly late summer. One important thing about all these sets and these products that we had is that we actually had a pretty big advancement in the North American market in April. Until April, we had been limited to one distribution company in North America, which was the previous contract related to Keyforge. But in April, we were able to expand to a number of different distributors in the U.S., which has really helped the retail side of things on our side. And in fact, it had a lot of healthy benefits. One big benefit was that Prophetic Visions, in fact, is now sold out. There are still some left here. And maybe we'll have a few packs unplugged show later this month, but basically it's gone. So we're really excited about having a set sell out that quickly. So in addition, of course, to our releases, we also did some organized play of some community support products. One of the ones we did, Jeremy Culver from the marketing team was a really important guy in pushing this together, was a discovery kit. If you haven't seen this, this was a really fun kit because it actually had our very first, believe it or not, Keyforge keychain. And the way it would work is that you would get this kit, you would go to your store, and then you would go there 4 weeks in a row. Every time you showed up, you'd get a piece of this keychain. And when you were done, you would be able to have a keychain that had fully 3, red, yellow, blue keys on it. So that was a real fun kit. Very popular. In fact, we ran out of these kits sometimes a few months ago. We also did the store championships early in the year, which is something routinely will continue, and that's been very popular among the stores. Of course, for organized play, we also did our special storyline event. There's more to talk about this event. A whole bunch of y'all went and did this event for us and reported the results of your event. And this, of course, relates to the darkness that has appeared in Crucible. More on the darkness later. More organized things that we did. Of course, we did our Vault Tour for the 3rd year in a row. We had 10 Vault Tour stops around the world, and we had 11 national championships and other places around the world. So, who here is from overseas? Please raise your hands. So, every year, thank you for coming all this way. We really much appreciate it. So that was our organized play. So, bunch of products, bunch of organized play products, and then we'll talk about the year ahead. But before we do that, I just wanted to lend a hand to the Ghost Galaxy team who made all that stuff happen. So that's Michael, Luke, John, and of course, thank you. We wouldn't be able to have all this fun making these products if it wasn't for you guys. So let's talk about the year ahead. How can we talk about the year ahead without talking about what's hot in our desk right now, which is draconian measures? Yeah. So this will be the 10th Keyforge core set. So a core set, of course, is set that we think are foundational to the game, that will introduce new mechanics, that we'll really spend most of our time thinking about the philosophy and game design direction for these sets. And we just did our Game Found campaign for this. And of course, introduced the new House of Boros. Okay, which are the dragons who have been, by mysterious means, set free from their prison in the limbo to help fight their old nemesis, the darkness, who has escaped by other means. Okay, And, of course, the Game Count campaign, which was very successful, exceeded our expectations, is just about to finish. So if anybody here has not participated or are interested in participating, I think it ends on Tuesday morning. And then we'll close it down. And believe it or not, we already started manufacturing. So we're hot in the heels of this to get this thing out. So excited about this The Game Count backers will receive it, we hope, in the early spring, and then there'll be a spring, likely around March, April release into the stores. Okay, we're going to measures, then it's going to be our spring release. And I'm very happy to say that the next product that you'll see is that we're going to do another storyline event in late summer next year. Okay? As always, we will not spoil what will be this particular storyline. I know that the team has some ideas, but I'm pretty sure they don't 100% know which one it's going to be yet, so we can't even tell you what it's going to be. All right, so the last thing, of course, is we announced during the Draconian Measure campaign the next set, which will be Shattered Reality. That will come out this fall. Okay, there will be a campaign for this that will happen sometime in February. And of course, right now we're so knee-deep in Draconian Measures, but Luke, in fact, have already been working on Shattered Reality. The first 20 or 30 cards have already been baked and are on its way to testing. So that's our 26 releases. So in terms of releases, there's a few more things to talk about, and that is the new Discovery Kit. You know, the Discovery Kit that we did was so successful and well received that we wanted to do a new one. And probably the single most requested Chotsky that people ask us for is cool keys. So we have these very, very old keys. We still have some left from the Fantasy Flight Keyforge days. People want a really kind of a zippy upgrade for those. And so we're working on a cool new set of keys that's going to be included in this set. So 3 new really cool metal keys is going to be the centerpiece. Of course, this kit will have lots of marketing materials. So if you're a club, you want to use it at a show, you want to put it in a retail store, you'll have posters. You'll have table talkers. You'll have instructions for how the store owner or the community organizer can do cool events with the kit. We'll have a winner prize, and it's going to be shipping in the spring. So, Discovery Kit's coming out. All right, so our organized play schedule, and I think one of the things we really want to do with Keyforge, and we've been expressing a number of years, is to give you guys a routine, give you guys a scaffolding you can kind of hang your hat on, which just means that every year we're going to have these vault tours, we're going to have these elements that you can come to recognize and hopefully to appreciate, and maybe even see some improvements year after year, because we're always trying. So in January, February, we'll have this OP kit come out. In February, March, another bout of our store championships. So hopefully by December-ish, online, you'll be able to see the applications for your stores to come in and apply for hosting one of these. Then in April, September, the usual Vault Tour stops. Okay, so we're working already now on trying to secure those stops. We had a really, really exciting year last year that was mostly free from any of that kind of big issues. So hopefully, Josh, we got it going, right, Josh?
Yep.
There you go. Then our storyline event is going to happen August through September. It may creep into the beginning of October. We'll see how that all comes together. But there'll be a big storyline event there again. And then we'll have our nationals that we typically have on this time of year. And of course, you guys will all be back next year for this, right? So this is what you'll see for organized play. And a few other things to talk about. Last year when I was standing here, we actually, for the first time, announced that you guys could get our deck clones. What is a deck clone? Well, a deck clone, of course, is the ability to get a copy of your unique deck. Okay, who here has tried the deck clones? So thank you. All right, hope you like them. One of the most fun things, and then one of the most exciting things that we were able to announce with the deck clones was, of course, the accolades. So the accolades are little badges that will now follow along with every deck to life. And they will never go away. And if you want, you can get a deck clone printed with its accolades directly on there. You may be able to see some of those at the show. And of course, now when we are here at KFC, we will award a whole new slew of accolades for the decks. So if you win one of the open tournaments, the deck that wins those tournaments will receive this accolade. If you're in the Seal tournament tomorrow, the champion deck will get this, and every deck that participates will get the contender badge. Same thing with the Alliance, of course, Archon champions and contender badges. So lots of cool stuff going on, a whole new host of accolades going out to the short deck clones. If you guys ever want to see a sample of those, I'm sure we have some samples up at the front desk. So deck clones are cool. Another thing we did this year, which I think really was fun, that was the ability to work with Forge to put together our Keyforge custom playmat tool. So this is a really fun thing where you can now create your own playmat. You know, playmats are an interesting thing. Everybody loves to have them. It turns out that we can only offer so many different types. Okay? It turns out that everybody wants their own personality, they want their own art, they want their own way to express what's on the playmat. So we made this tool called the deck creator, sorry, the playmat creator. You can go online, just go via keyforging.com, and there's tons of artboard options. There's just really fun to play around with. Even if you don't want a playmat, just go play around with it, but that is pretty fun to do. So you can access that through keyforging.com, and just go try to play with it. We're really proud of what we do. And of course, when we do a new set, as long as we remember, we're going to put up a whole bunch of new artwork from that set. You can help us to remember. All right, so that was the playmat tool. And then, what's going on? What's happening? Uh-oh. Turns out something bad has crept into this crucible. Something awful. Something from beyond the void which should never have been shown its way back to existence. Okay, as we all know, we all did this certain darkness event. In this certain darkness event, we learned that the Logos, of course, had done something bad. Logos had let in this darkness in their pursuit of knowledge. Okay, and of course, in doing that, this darkness crept out. And Logos did not really gain much health from that. In fact, it took a lot of hit points from this particular encounter. So this is not good, right? So the darkness has been led back into the world. The only good thing to come of it is that the Ouroboros will come and help us out. Okay? Now, as you were playing this event, one of the problems is that, of course, when the darkness comes out, it keeps growing and growing. And now it's attacking all the other houses, and you helped figure out how to save them, didn't you? Except, did you save them all? At least one was saved, and two, and three. That was the best. Turns out they almost all made it out. Oh no! The creeping darkness grabbed one of our beautiful houses and corrupted them. Oh no! Oh no! Well, it turns out that if you're an outstanding member of the Crucible, you can't have corrupted houses, so you are out. At least for now. Who knows what could happen? Thank you guys for participating in the Certain Darkness event. It was really fun to see which houses got saved. This is the extent of my presentation to you tonight, but it's not the end of my presence here tonight with you guys. In about half an hour, a bunch of us from Ghost Galaxy will be on the stage and we want to take all your questions. Okay, so if you have any questions for us about development, design, etc. about the company, we're happy to answer them. So that's it for now. Thank you for your time. Let's see what's on the bracket. Thank you.
Invited to the
Okay.
Good. How about you?
Good, good.
Thai food. I was like, I was
Let me see ya.
Scratch card. I did foundation. I went on the queue. Very good.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for sticking around after the amazing keynote presentation. Can you give another round of applause real quick to Christian Peterson and Archon Corner. We're going to get the ghost stories, or meet the ghost, I should say, thing going here a little early. We'll get it started by introducing all of us, because of course some of you, as we said, it's your first time here, so I think it'd be great if you walked around and went through the line to introduce yourself. So I'll get started since I have the microphone. I'm Jerry Goldberg. I'm marketing coordinator for Ghost Galaxy, and also help out in a lot of different areas. One of those things is in customer support. So if you've ever had a ticket to customer support, you might recognize my name in some of those responses because I help out with those. So now you can put this to
I'm Mike Hurley. I'm the head of product development at Ghost Galaxy. And I'm looking at keyboards and other business activities. Again. I'm Josh Slaughter, Fantasy Organized Play Coordinator. I'm the guy that put together the keyboard celebration for you.
Alright, so how we'll get this started is Keith Hurley in the back there. Also want to shout him out. He helped out with all the tracks. And the intro video there, so he helped out with a lot of things here. He's going to walk around and hand a microphone out as we do questions. I'll pick out people as they raise their hand. We'll try to, of course, get as many people as we can during the time that we've kind of allotted for this, because all these people need to go home and sleep as much as we all love Keyforge. So we'll kind of go with things getting started. I see Tobin had his hand up first, so I'm going to have Tobin, of course, be the first one to ask the question.
So, we're going to get the recent tournament kickoff campaign. We don't see the visibility on the retailer side. Right? The retailer side is not on this side. Can you tell us that to what extent is the kickoff campaign not successful at the retailer level? Whether it be number of retailers, total sales, is there growth happening there?
Yeah, good question. I think I can help answer that, and then maybe if you have anything else for us to add. But on the retailer side, things are still going well, I would say, for retailer backing. This campaign, we ended up being about the same number of retailers backing the campaign as we did in Prophetic Visions, which in one hand is a good thing. And of course, that does not mean that there is any drop-offs. There are some new people who jumped into the campaign to back at the retailer level, which again is a great thing because as you see new introductions, that ends up being beneficial for us. And of course, as Chris alluded to in the keynotes, because of the increased distribution, we do expect that there's going to be some players, or some stores I should say, that will decide to not participate in the crowdfunding campaign because they can now get through the distribution measures that they prefer to get through with their extra gains that they're getting from their store. So the easiest way I give that answer is to say is that we had about the same number as last time, which was a really good thing. And again, new stores being added to that list, which is also beneficial for the long-term growth, and at the same time, exposures like things with the player discovery kit to hopefully grow new player base as well.
Do you have a game store? No. It is true. I know. So in terms of overall volume, what we did this year for the game store retailers is we offered them something that was the most successful during the prior campaign, which was to have these very special retail exclusive decks with a single foil inside of it. They were great pain for us to put together the first time around, but they were so successful that retailers wanted more of them. And so, in fact, while the number of retailers was roughly even, the amount of participation by those retailers were quite significantly more. And so there's a happily for them, unhappily for the poor people that put them together, there'll be even more of these cool retail exclusive decks out. So there's any reach out us in here today, you guys are really amazing and you're really precious to us. So if there are any, thank you for your support.
All right, so next question. We'll go to you next.
You're good. Okay. The past year, you get this review that our research foilers, foil market. I think a lot of people really know this. We've also experimented with four treatments, long drivers, full iron, full iron, full foil. And Chris just alluded to that. These are fun and enjoyable team together. In the past, we had maybe felt like the concept of foil parallel processes. For LGS and OPS might not be viable. However, that would help offset the extra work we've done on your end. And I think there are a lot of people here who really enjoy being able to supplement some of their favorite decks. Would you now consider that as something for LGS OP questions? Yeah.
Just a point, when you say foil proxy, what do you actually mean?
Let's say a store gets one story 40 single cars. They are allowed to slot that into that car. Maybe on certain constraints, but then they can use at certain levels of in their events. And it is replacing the car.
I mean, of course, that sort of thing works great in a normal TCG. It does not work very well in Keyforge. For the simple reason that just swap out the individual cards and the individual cards going against in a great variety of ways, and there's no easy way to replicate that on any kind of large scale. The best thing we can do is we can offer the ability for people to order foil versions of existing decks available. You're not supposed to see that. I mean, we do have full technology now, and we are trying to find out the ways to get more bling in your hands. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we want to do some cool stuff.
So Stuart is next here.
Okay.
Stuart's right here. Yeah, so for those that couldn't hear it, because of course the guy's toys are messing with the microphone right now. He asked, when it comes to the player discovery kit, will non-stores be able to order this kit so that they can obviously take it to their playthrough or find other pathways to do it? And the answer is yes, that is the plan for this one. The first kit, which we launched, was a kit that, again, we specifically tried to design for stores to be able to purchase and find a way to either one, reinvigorate their community into becoming more of a Keyforge community, and secondly, help with their existing community be able to find new opportunities or find new players with that. And of course, as we said in the keynote, it was very successful. It sold out. It has been sold out for a while now, which of course had me approach Chris and say, hey, we should do this again. And so we worked with, I know that I think he left, but Will and I worked with trying to create this new key design, create a different feel, a different look to this. We have more options and opportunities for printing the kit in the future. And one of the things with this kit that I wanted to make it heard stories. I actually heard one earlier today. I'm going to give a shout out to the Sparkies in the back for this, as well as that unfortunately their store is not going to carry it anymore. And we've heard some things like that. And so the idea was to help with being able to get that store back in wanting to bring it, is allow these player communities to get access to it, to be able to take it to their store, run their own events there. And then obviously when you start showing that there's a renewed interest, it might need them to reinvigorate or re-get into the game. So yes, that is one of the things to announce to you guys as well, is that yes, when this kit is fully ready to go, there will be options and opportunities for you guys to be able to purchase it, even if your store is not going to bring it itself.
Is this working? Maybe?
Oh, sorry. Okay.
All right, walk right past.
Hello. In the Draconian Measures game campaign, we saw full art cards previewed, and it has been observed that they were expanded using generative AI. Can we expect to see the further use of generative AI in development keyboards going forward?
So yeah, this is obviously a hot topic around we do in all of our games, so all of our art are bought from real artists. So that's what we do. However, from time to time, we will use tools that they're required, some sort of graphic design position or an art extension or something that has to be painted in. We will use a variety of different tools in Photoshop and these other programs, and some of the main goal will be considered to be AI today. So we were very much pro real life artists, but we're also not purists in that we look for mainly every single usable tool on Earth. That's the philosophy we decided to take this one.
So the intent of it was not to be a chance for today. We do want it to be a skill-based game. We want the good players to know how to play the decks and know how to play them well. That being said, there is an element of chance in there. If there's a little more chance in PvE, it wasn't all intentional, but it does exist in there. It is my intent to, going forward, that it's going to continue to be a skill-based game, and to try to limit the amount of just like solitaire play or just automatic play. We do want player to be a big part of the game.
So prior to those Galaxy keyboards, we had historic championship that happened more consistently. So we had a historic championship in March, we had a historic championship in summer, in the fall. And for at least for our community, I feel like that gave us a few points where we're trying to make players and then more time just showing the forward. But is there a reason why we only have
So the reason that we've laid the OP out the way that we have is to have it follow sort of a music sheet approach. So you have a slow escalation into a crescendo, the crescendo being a Keyforge celebration, and then you starting with your store championships, which is the low stakes events, and then you have the events that are in between, which are the nationals and the vault tours. That being said, I am aware that there are other approaches to OP. It is something to look at and assess if there's changes that we want to make to our OP. Although, one of the other things too is we have to be careful about that because, as Chris was saying, we want to make sure that there is a schedule and sort of a plan that you can hang your hat on, that we're not going to change too drastically each year, so that we're not introducing confusion on, well, how does it work this year? I am certainly open to making changes to any of the OP plans, but part of one of the reasons why that will be slower, again, is to not introduce too much undue confusion by completely changing the plan from year to year.
I think it's a good question. I mean, there's also a question of resources on our side, being able to support it and to take feedback and provide the results, etc. But I think one of the reasons that Jeremy has pushed for these kits to be available is for any store that wants to run kind of events and have prizes and so on, they kind of do it at the teams that makes sense for their particular store. That's the approach we're taking.
Yeah, so it's like a bit of a follow-up question to address more about visions. More is in terms of just the design perspective that we've seen out in the wild for months now. We've seen much perform at multiples. Do you guys see it as a success in terms of your design? Like, it did the beats when I hit. One of the big things, like, do you guys think the set was fun? Like, from a gameplay perspective, I know, like, I think it's a pretty general sentiment to me that it's not fun to play with, it's not fun to play against. I know, like, I personally lost a few locals to the set. That's the only reason for a while. So just kind of all your thoughts of, like, going forward in design, is like TV, the kind of, gameplay patterns, they sort of like fun these ones that really success and you sort of expect that sort of vision going forward in the sense.
I've heard that phrase, it's not fun to play, it's not fun to play, it's a couple times today, actually. So, it definitely wasn't the intent for that. It's supposed to be a fun set. Personally, I have a lot of fun playing. I'm not a competitive player, though, and all of you out here are, because that's why you're here. So I do understand there are a lot of different perspectives out there, and he said may not hit everyone's high on their list, but we do listen to all the feedback, we do make adjustments, and we yeah.
So I would say the grand vision for Prophetic Visions was to introduce the element of surprise in the middle of the game. And doing it in a way that was both new, something new to keyboards, but also felt like it was something that only experience that you would have that is very unique to the first time play. So have the ability to use the procedural deck generation algorithm to control and influence what promises appear in which decks and how they're paired up on sides, the A side and the B side of the card. And that was all interesting, and I think largely successful. And so I think that design goal was what we achieved, something that the game never had before. But like we said, I understand that it does introduce a whole other layer of chance to impact the quality of the deck and what it's like to play against. So, yeah, it's I honestly heard both positive and some negative things about it. So I said yes, it was design goals were achieved.
FFG was willing to
go ahead and errata cards. We saw Echo Charge get modified, whether we can see that as a errata or not. Will cards like Trader's Creed have to be errata? Also, Jade the Bard gets real love.
There are several cards that I'm looking at, and we'll be looking at very closely this weekend and seeing how they work in this scenario. So yes, they are on the list.
I was curious if you guys have, I know that last year, super good. I was wondering if you guys had any plans to expand more kind of beyond the card game with things like new short stories, new novels, new role-playing introductions, new art books, things of that nature, to sort of expand the
So the question is whether we would love to expand the Crucible IP into other settings of this game. So we all love this IP. We have a very large library and of characters in our work for it. We'd love to do that. We don't have any bandwidth internally to go ahead and do other categories of products stuff like that. But of course, there's still a role-playing game out there that still is held by somebody else for a little while longer. And we are very open for anybody in a third party that are interested in the IP, willing to do things with it. So please just contact us if you know somebody who's willing or interested in helping us expand. Good question, thank you.
So we talked a little bit about threat loans and
And we've heard of the proposal. I think Josh has a copy of it. We really appreciate everybody pitching in and loving the game so much to coordinate and put them together. It's hard to do something this, 2 people working together, 3 people working together is quite an achievement. So thank you for that. And obviously, we're really interested in hearing all your opinions. We're going to study it carefully and try to balance that out between what resources and future plans to do. So I can guarantee you that your work here is going to be honored and the sense that it's given and to be able to every ounce of our energy to understand what we believe is important in it and try to implement that and see what we do. Whether we can, other than that kind of general sense, I'm not sure if we can make any specific promises, but we are working on a lot of things for next year that we hope to make everyone do better. And obviously hoping to do all those appropriate activities that we state that we understand that there are lots of other cool bits and bobs that we'd love to do and that everybody wants to do, and I also think the game deserves. Let's see if we can put ourselves together faster. Thank you.
So we saw this year, Ghost Galaxy really start to expand into making different games. And on my back, the release campaign, you guys have marketing. I'm just curious, is there an intention, a plan to, as these games go out, Ghost Galaxy becomes a bigger thing? Is there a specific plan in place to try to get these stores, retailers who might purchase, in order of whatever time become more into that Eagle Scouts ecosystem and then take Keyboard and all other games?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's the one great thing about being able to do these other products, which, by the way, we're not like Keyforge, but the Keyforge team is going to stick around and do the awesome work that they do. But yes, I mean, I've published many games in my life, and obviously having more games come out that introduce new players to games, and they may ask themselves questions like, this is really fun, what else could they do? One of the things we did at FFG for 20 years is we put a little catalog inside every game. Because we knew that we were waiting for the person to take their turn. And sitting around shopping in a catalog is the kind of thing to do. So it's easier for companies to recruit sideways in that respect, and trying to get every people for each other back on board that we can do over time is helpful. And I think it's insightful, yes.
Is that a specific thing, like your returns and catalog that are copies or
Well, we would. There's not that many things to put in the catalog at the moment. but obviously, that's just a natural human thing, and the more somebody gets into something, they're going to expose themselves to come visit us at the trade show, and get exposed to other things that we do, including people. So that's just wonderful. It's not just a hopeful dream that we have, it's actually part of our strategy, and it's why it's helpful to have other products as well, provided that we can do a good job for everyone.
So just a follow-up for OC, I'm one of the people that went to every culture in the United States this year. Last travel all across the United States during the World War season, there's really no local season for. What are we going to do about that?
Well, I'll start the answer and then I'll pass it over to you. So one of the things that is with the player discovery kit is an opportunity, at least the philosophy for this one is to have it where, again, stores can purchase it at any time, at any point to be able to run things and look to try to invigorate their audience during that time frame. So again, that's a kind of an evergreen product that can be utilized throughout the time period to be utilized during those times where, as you said, then a lot of focus is put on in multiple seasons due to the team sizes that a store can still get something to use in their local stores or their local audience.
All right, I'm not going to promise anything here, and I'm not going to announce any new products. I'm in trouble. But what I wanted to say, and it relates back to this proposal here. We, of course, for this event and other reasons, we've been very busy in office, but it's my full intention to take a look deeply at this proposal, to talk to our gentlemen here, and then try to pitch some things out and see, working with these gentlemen, what we have the resources to do. Because it will come down to the resources and what we think we can accomplish. So like I said, I'm not promising anything, but there is a known desire for, say, something weekly. So there are things that are known, and you have proposals that are out there, and I will actually say to all of you, keep sending those and keep communicating with us, because the Keyforge community does have fantastic ideas, and there are things that we can pull from you. So that's what I would say is it's my intention to look at this proposal and then to look at some proposals that we can make.
Yeah, and real quick, like it says here, I read your emails, so anytime you sign up, I read them, all right?
We had this discussion here at most of our KFCs. This is a very frequent question, and we're not dummies when we behind it, but we totally understand the frustration that's out there saying, hey, I want to play more Keyforge. My local store is not carrying Keyforge. It's Coach Galveston's fault. Why didn't they do something about that? And we would love to do something about that, but the reality is that this game has a long history. It's done a lot of things, and there's a lot of products in the market that either each other's getting and they grind through. And once the product has had the history and kind of the various challenges that on the specific beats that it's had, it's extremely difficult to make those retailers kind of turn back and say, yeah, we want to come back on it. We've tried many different ways to do that, and from a realistic perspective, what we can invest in the resources we have to do it, we decided that we just have to do it one store at a time. So if one store comes in and wants to be part of it, we're really going to try to help support them. Maybe we fail at that from time to time, that's on us. But there isn't, in my perspective, and I don't want to give false expectations, that there's some magical formula that we just put out there to have some sort of AOP platform that is going to really make everything wonderful overnight. Because the reality in the marketplace today, Keyforge is a very difficult one to get these retailers to buy down to. We, more than anybody, want that to happen. We also want the game to survive and for this community to have this OP that we can.
Inspired is that's from the RPG. Yeah. Right now, no. There are I've had some interesting ideas that I maybe want to pull at Inspired where it won't be house-based, but something else-based. So, kind of interesting.
So as a business owner, I appreciate the limitations of time, money, and resources. But I also appreciate as a small team, be very responsive to the community. So I greatly thank you for that. And Christian, I personally thank you publicly for salvaging the game that we were talking about 5 years ago, trying to produce by ourselves. So thank you very much for that. Speak to the summer story time as the coordinator of our Midwest Keyforge Cheers Moment. We carry some of the guilt that some of the product is not available to the kid. We ordered 10 kits because we thought it was going to be like the Martian Civil War. And we ended up purchasing that and understanding after the fact how it was going to be run. In the future, I personally appreciate knowing what the story event will be in the future and then being able to purchase it on the back end. Christian, you mentioned specifically being able to purchase outside of the currently working with our deal stores who has the new Keyforge on the shelving because they needed the product that's being better. And I appreciate what you're doing with the resources you have. That said, I also appreciate your continuing to improve that timeline. I can ask you this question, if you could please move that announcement of how the summer event will take place prior to ordering. That will dissuade some of us having some guilt that we should product on the market.
So just a question. This is a great question, I think. But when you say information earlier, do you mean about the story or the flavor, or do you mean the more practical implications of how it's run, like the technicalities of what is in the content, how it's supposed to work?
So last year, I was a large consumer of the Martian Civil War at the Grand Several events. I actually got proud of that. This year, we purchased 10 units based on what we thought, and I instead of purchasing multiple units, I just needed one.
Reuse and build.
So now we have some kits. So we have been able to redistribute across the community doing so, but it creates the discomfort as well as some personal guilt that we consumed and it wasn't available. So if you could take that information and
be able
to move forward.
So don't feel good. Don't feel good.
Thank you.
A very good question. Thank you.
Jared, I don't mind asking your question. I saw you refer to our hand up there.
Board game arena asset.
That is a question.
I didn't mean to laugh at your question. I was laughing in joy at what we all want. We would love to provide a digital app, and this is a question that we said that we do get a lot. We looked into when we first got into it, we do a really big, not nice app, and it just wasn't feasible to make one that was really nice. It just wasn't at all feasible from a cost perspective. Lately, we've been talking about some other approaches, whether it makes sense for us to invest in maybe a really nice board game arena module that could interface with the master vault, or other similar approaches. We have some people that have a show today here that want to talk to me about some options in that regard. And so this is never something we're leaving behind. It's just something that is a very big nut to grind. We would love to do it. In the meantime, I just want to say, while it's not maybe not the most elegant tool for particularly new players, but the TCO out there, you know, very maybe as much as we do in terms of thankfulness and keeping that game alive, as much as we do, as much as the players do, just being a really important cog in the life cycle of this game. So thanks TCO. I hope I have good news for you this year, but it's probably a question we get again next year. But good one. Thank you.
All right, so does Daniel in the back?
My question is a little more fun. What I'd like to know is be open to revisiting old ideas. So we kind of saw with like Token Channel, revisiting Glow with the other houses that weren't all of them. Really exciting. Exciting to revisiting that. Are you guys open to revisiting ideas with like a set? Token changes. Sightings it was, it kind of felt like it wasn't quite fully baked. But and I asked the question because of Dark Titans. That said, many of us think it wasn't finished when it came out. I'd like to see that get across the left.
I'm all for reusing ideas. I would love to revisit stuff in main sets and actually have the time to fully fledge out and use that stuff back. Yes, I'm totally open to that.
Cool, thank you.
So for draconian measures, it was a return to a more basic key forge. There's no extra elements with like tokens or tide or proxies or classic keyboards on there. Then we also still want to keep in new stuff like the new houses in there, which they have some very interesting mechanics in there. And that's fun.
So my favorite part about draconian measures started with this idea. So when you think back to burn reminders, my personal favorite thing about burn reminders is the challenges players get with this notion of like, it's always good to set your deck as fast as possible. Prior to burn reminders, that was true of no matter what keyboard deck you were playing, you wanted to cycle your deck. You wanted to draw as many cards as possible, and if that means you discard cards, you would draw more cards, that's what you did. Burn reminders kind of challenge that by saying, like, actually, no, sometimes you want to be confident, which means you need cards to discard. And it's like that concept alone just opened up so many interesting design possibilities for burn reminders. So for draconian measures, we kind of ask ourselves the same kind of question, where it's like, sometimes you don't want to read your cards. And as soon as we said that, it's just like, yeah, that sounds like a cool area to explore.
It's kind of a microphone here for Sam. Given now that Logos and Sanctum have succumbed to darkness, are they going to be eligible as legacy masters? Future sets or are they now?
Good question. No, I think that they'll remain as legacy batteries. That could be fine with there. You may see some familiar faces in the future as well. As slightly different than what they were.
So as we think of like Keyforge Celebration 2030, like what's the vision? You know, yeah. Yeah, so I want to be there. But I guess it's a related thought, like what's the vision for the game on like the commercial side? Like how much more product do we want to be moving? Do we want to be getting sales from some kind of digital thing? Or like what are we thinking about in terms of a business, you know, versus
where would you like to be in the next 5 years?
Exactly, yeah. But specifically on the business side.
We'd love to be here speaking to this crowd, maybe a bigger crowd in 5 years, really. Not many games live this long, and so every year is a gift. And we hope to continue to hopefully create sets that are fun for most, and then maybe the next set fun for different most. But you know, as long as it's a game that thrives, you know, it doesn't have to be hugely profitable for us to say, okay, well, we still owe a 222 fan base and take it as far as it can go. As long as the fan base enjoys it, and as long as it makes sense for us, you know, and we're a human level now. We love our games. We don't want to drop our games up the back from the truck. So we want to, you know, keep it going as long as it makes sense. Now, there could be a point where it doesn't make sense anymore. Yeah, of course. There could also be a point where also has an upswing again. You know, we're seeing that increased interest, and that's certainly something we hope for. And if that happens, then enjoy it. But there isn't any master, you know, than those that, you know, hoping for year after year to make more good people.
Okay, so I just wanted to say I really enjoyed some of the complexity of presented visions and prophecies. So like a quick question and a longer question. The quick question is, are you considering using prophecies in future sets already? And then the second question is, like, as the game gets more complex, a lot of the sets that we release, like Discovery, is oriented toward like simplicity and like other players. But is there a place to kind of capture more of the experienced player base that might be interested in something that might be better?
Yeah, so I'm always good for reasons in this thing.
I would say our goal is not to do complexity for complexity's sake. I think if we come up with an idea that is fun and interesting, we can certainly tolerate a certain amount of complexity as long as the fun is still there. But I don't think that complexity is required to make set fun and interesting for new coaches to score. I think, as you said before, I think draconian measures is a very fun set that it is not, especially complicated. Where it's going to challenge established players is understanding how our cards play with the intangibility and understanding how to read the game state and how the game state can change depending on what the card is ready for response. That requires you to look at some different calculus.
And just talking about complexity for cards, I personally have a font size limit in my head that I won't go past for keyboard cards. So if I can't figure out how to word an ability within that font size, I won't figure out keyboard. So there's
Alright, just because I've asked you two before, okay, go ahead, John. We'll come back to you two if no one else, but I want to try to give everybody a chance to get a question.
Certain dark games could have very easily been Christian that every community could have downloaded and needed to purchase the recording code. Is that a consideration when you revisit and that? For communities to be able to get very little cost, very little cost to engage with these events, recognize there's a limitation there. Get reports or other things. Honestly, once you got this, we're like, hey, we could have printed it off this web page, and you would save us using costs, work would save on costs, and we still enjoy it. Obviously, you purchase the board, you can't just generate costs. So is there events that, hey, we actually need to ship it, or is there a premium thing for those who really want to finish the card, or also worldwide, you just pay for an off, get a local copy, and standard reader, so that we can just artists, while I do that,
yeah, that's not not a bad thought. But since the question is, can we use it on print and play with certain darkness? I guess yes, we could. I think one of the things that really drive us is to try to support the stores that do really carry the game. So to have something special and printed impression for them, something that we want to go and experience there, really drives us. I know it's one of those back and forth things. We're always trying to see what we can do for the stores to bring in light. So I guess that's our primary motivation in that. But I suppose that in the future we can think about making it available later as a print play or even on a TV basis. But appreciate the comment.
Y'all had a flurry of activity around set design, had a catching up with discovery and something else. But it seems like you have settled down now more into basically more focused around the game front. Now you guys have more collective time. One of the things about us choosing new eyeballs might be getting parts of the report in front of existing players and new players. And so using things like video, shorts, more content that shows like the uniqueness of the game and interesting plays. Or even for the game bound, for example, instead of a single spoiler bar, actually showing examples with the new set. Before they got that's an art for the player. With the campaign art, where you are for design cycles, and art is very cut, and now you're catching up. You start to do more things, you have to be feasible to start exposing to the play, or going with the campaign cycles, understand things about the next set, really fun moments about the game, and out that I don't think about gold. Yeah, I think that's what the game is like. That's exactly, it doesn't meet my expectation in time. You can feel bad, or I didn't really invest in it. I didn't understand the feel of it, where I would have not. So without that, it's a little bit like it's tough and it is really short. And digital experience is tough, it's a little bit so. And now you guys are catching up. You guys think it's feasible when you start seeing more of the gameplay, more of the game. You have no reason now.
Yeah, I think I'll take this one. So, just in case you guys didn't hear it, to kind of summarize Dev's question there is basically because of how things are moving with the game, are we thinking about doing more videos and presentations to try to help with the visual reception of what you are going to be playing or experiencing things? And I will tell you, the short answer is of course. So those that don't know me, kind of my background is in television news. Did that for many years. I'm a content creator myself that I do on the side. So like I totally understand and agree with what you're saying is that doing more of these things is important. The one thing that I will say is while there's a feeling of us catching up, we are always very much busy on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of the things that you're asking require a lot of setup and time and commitment and the editing that takes place afterwards to try to make the best representation. So you get exactly what you said. You understand what you're seeing. And we do that, I would say in a better way, in a halfway mark. And I don't think it will hit the way that it needs to. So yes, I'm always talking about this, obviously as a marketing person. I'm always trying to figure out new ways and opportunities to not only build hype and excitement, but at the same time build understanding so that people understand what they're getting into. There were some plans in place or potential plans in place for the Draconian Measures campaign that unfortunately due to time and constraints just fell through, right? And so I would say that the same things are going to apply, trying to make those things happen for the future, for the next campaign, any kind of other set releases. But there's always a line that you're trying to balance between build hype and excitement and still all the means, where then, as you said, it completely diminishes your any excitement level if it's not your cup of tea. And at the same time, not give everything away so that you're staying engaged and you want to experience this thing so that you at least try it and find out if this is your flavor that you may at first have thought at the time. So, I hope that answered your question. There's someone else that looks like I think it's Ned.
My question is about the idea of simple Egypt and the way it's going there. We have intended to the idea about discovery set, set, Egypt would be long-term oil.
This is a great question. The question is basically the discovery work. Did we get more players? I think it's really hard to say. There's no saying. I think applies a little bit here in business, and that is, I know half my marketing works. I just don't know what half. And so if you have a sense that there are more players coming into the game, it's not. I mean, it's incremental, and discovery keeps selling. Whether it's from discovery itself or whether it's just enough time has gone by and we've stabilized, people realize that people is not dead. People are coming back for us because we increased our distribution, particularly in North America. It's really hard to say, but it's definitely my sense, and I wish I had more objective data. We did try to get objective data out of one of our distributors earlier this year. It didn't work. They didn't give us good data. my general sense is that the game is now on a kind of reasonably healthy trajectory. I hope it is that way. But I wish I had more objectively remarks. It's just a small enough game to start to know. And maybe ask around to that same question to see if you see anecdotal results.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I was going to say is that we have anecdotal things of people telling us, hey, I got into this or I tried out Discovery and it made me excited, so that we have that. But as Chris said, of course, as a marketing person, I'd love to say it always works, right? But at the same time, you get some good data, some bad data. At the same time, you get some data that's hard to judge. So we'll see. We'll go one in the back, and then we'll do one more question just based on timing, and then we'll wrap it up from there.
We've got one real quick one, and then a little bit longer one. I was really hoping to see for the Certain Darkness event the breakdown. Is there any way that we could see the number of houses purged, or is that top secret?
So we do have the data. The question is whether or not we can do something fun with it. So it would really be a discussion between us to figure out if there's a way that we can present the data in a fun way to wrap up the Certain Darkness event. I don't think that posting just all of the data on an article for you is going to be all that interesting. I know you might find it interesting, but I think that the question would be what we can do to better serve the story.
So then,
Just to add to that, I think like most things, right, is we try to write some like recap articles or things like that and stuff. So just like we did with Martian Civil War, we'll have some sort of article to help try to put a cap on this event. And so while we can't say that we'll put all the data in there, there may be some things in there that help at least answer some of the questions that we may have.
okay, so then the real question is for any long-lived card game, one thing that inevitably comes up is, I wish there was a better word for this, but the idea of power creep. So just older sets tend to be not as good compared to newer sets. And we saw when that kind of went the other way with set 2, where Age of Ascension just did not sell nearly as well, in large part because a lot of people saw it as not as good as the first set. So is there any consideration across the future of the game for maintaining, or how you maintain a consistent or not terribly rampant power level?
Power creep is real, yeah. It is definitely not our intent to treat the power up at every single set. There have been some intentional things with how the sets are put together and the number of cards in the set that have made the power level change more drastically than we expected. But we do try to, when designing cards, we do try to keep the power levels of the card kind of in sync with everything else. And we do make adjustments as our expectations are realized.
All right, so we'll do one.
Just want to make one note, it's a very good question from the end. There's a couple of the questions that are similar to this. When you have long-lived games, you have this kind of weird reverse entropy where you get the complexity starts rising and where you get different kind of power levels. And to be honest with you, I think Keyboard's done a pretty good job of staying reasonable. Most other games that are similar to this do it by effectively creating cuts where you can't play with a certain amount of sets and sort of got drop-offs and stuff. We try to avoid that. It's always fun to be able to play with all the old sets. That may have to be something we contemplate in the future if necessary, but I think as long as these guys can keep it going with as little as complexity and as little as power inflation as you can get, we're better off than not having any cuts.
All right, so last question. It looks like we'll do David just looking at me.
So we deliberately decided to not include a side set. They are fun. They are fun. You know, so I mean, Crystal Clash was fun to work on, but it only happened because I did most of the work on it. Well, Lou did most of the work on the regular sets. And so, otherwise it takes up a lot of extra time to develop these side sets. And we also reached a point where we just felt that we were just putting too much products. There's too much, and maybe there's a better approach to stick with it and just focusing on 2 more set races a year and a summer sort of.
All right, so that's going to wrap up the Meet the Ghost section here. I am going to pass the mic to Josh real quick as we get one more thing real quick to pass along.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Jeremy, for emceeing, and thank you to all of you for not only appearing for Meet the Ghost, but also the keynote and the LCQ. It's been a fantastic day. Hopefully, it was great from start to finish. We're going to hop up off the stage, but there's one last thing. A community member has some announcements regarding one of their community events, so he's going to give you a little bit of information. Then we're going to wrap up the room and we're going to get you all out of here. So again, thank you very much, everybody. Actually, while he's coming up here, I do want to actually tell you something about community events that I didn't get to earlier. You'll notice that we have these banners over here that say community event on them. Later in the weekend, there will be community events that happen near the end of the day. This is how the TOs are going to display their events going on. And you'll notice there's a blank space here at the top. They're going to be able to tape an 8x11 at the top to tell you the name of the event. So right at the top there. So one of the events that will probably use these is the recall of the Archon events that Dom is going to be doing later in the weekend. All right, so I'm going to hand it over to DeadSync here, a prolific TO in the Keyforge community, game recognized game. Here you go, man. Tell the people what you're about.
I'm super excited to have a quick brief overview of what these are, what you can do with them over the weekend, and it'll be your first chance to get good, so to speak. Good. I do have 100 invitations. I hope you can get everyone who wants to participate. One of these 100 starter packs, 300 booster packs, everything you need for 100 players. So, what's a community card? Well, that's crazy. Thanks for asking, everybody.
That's crazy.
Community cards we have designed as a community involving teams, leagues, content creators, you name it, websites, apps. These cards are called community cards. This is the Keymander one, and it's up in the graph. This is one of 42. In this mode called community, essentially the way it works is at the start of every turn, you're going to have this kind of like common card pool called the community deck. It's kind of like a chance card in Monopoly or something. At the start of every turn, that player flips one over, you're faced with a choice. You go, oh, this crazy thing's going to happen. It's affect my turn. But you get a one-time chance to skip it if you can make a skip cost at the bottom. So it's kind of like a little bit of choice. If you made a skip cost, you're moving on to the next card, and then you're stuck with that. That is ultimately how the community card mode works. So, for the actual event that we're playing, we are going to have a game event that spans the entire weekend. That everyone who's interested in playing, I'll arrive before online in a second. Everyone, just for signing up here, will get a starter pack. This is a new starter pack. It has the same cards as every other new starter pack. It's packed 6 or so cards, along with how to play, a card, other fun material that you can enjoy reading in your spare time. And you'll also get a randomized booster pack. This is another pack of 6, 7, some number, 6 or 7, random selection of cards from other members of the group. So, between these two, you're going to have roughly 12 cards. That will be where you start building a collection. Additionally, you'll see that other content creators and community creators may have their own foil promos. You're allowed to get them as well. You can include them in your deck. So it's going to be a 3-round sealed event. The way it's going to work is you're going to have your starter booster. Then after you play your first round, you're going to come up to me, and I'm going to give you another booster pack. Whether you win or lose, more cards. Yes, that's great. And the winner of that round will get every round will have a promo foil. And so if you win round 1, you will get round 1's promo foil. And you won round 2. And you find another opponent also in round 2. We have a Discord server set up where you can help facilitate matches. Play round 2. After round 2, all players get another booster pack. Wow, see how this works? And then round 2 gets another promo foil for round 2. So winning every round, the last round gets us something. Final round is going to be no extra boosters, I'm sorry, we're going to have 300. But again, it's going to be round 3 foil promo. And if you go 3-0 across all 3 rounds, you get an extra special promo foil bonus table by going 3-0. So that's how it generally works. And after you grab this, you can go play your games whatever you want. However, I want to give a special shout out to Sydney, who I don't think is here right now. Sydney is running Snack Forge after. So a really smart thing to do would be play, dragon cards, play, and I will be there simply facilitating prizing. So you can play your games and I'll be there dishing out extra boosters, all that sort of stuff.